out, as they say. But I was determined that no amount of forecast of rain or anything of the sort will prevent us from having a meeting in Dorchester Hill tonight. I was determined to be here with you. This is a special place for so many reasons. First of all, right where we are has some very significant landmarks in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Of course, on National Heroes Day, the 14th of March, all roads lead to Dorchester Hill. We come here to pay tribute to our first national hero, Joseph Chatelier, first and only national hero. This is a significant place. We have the obelisk as a memorial to Chatelier. And from the site of the obelisk, you could get a great view, a panoramic view of the city and the surrounding areas. That is a view that people should pay money to see. But we have a great heritage, and we standing strong with the Comrade as we see the Comrade coming through. Make some noise for the Comrade. Make some noise for the world boss. Ready. Ready. We ready. Tell them say we ready. And we ready. It's 5 in the till. Tell them labor. I run with labor. It's the labor. We run with labor. It's the labor. I run with labor. It's the labor. You're not free. Asking for the labor, man. I run with labor. I fought in for labor. You're not free. If I was a labor man, I run with labor. I fought in for labor. Boom. They know I'm red, they know I'm brown, and you can see me jumping high up in the crowd. So tell a friend, I'm shouting loud. I supporting Comrade, it's labor we are for. Tell them labor. I run with labor. It's the labor. We run with labor. It's the labor. I run with labor. It's the labor. You're not free. If I was a labor man, I run with labor. I fought in for labor. You're not me ass. If I was a labor man, I run with labor. I fought in for labor. Push my head out my window and show them the 5 finger. I hope all you remember. Just show them your 5 finger. Comrade is the best leader. Just show them your 5 finger. On the 5th of November, just show them your 5 finger. Ready, ready. Tell them that we ready. Comrade is the best man to keep the country steady. Ready. Let them know we ready. On November 5th, we voting for labor. I run with labor. It's the labor. We run with labor. It's the labor. I run with labor. It's the labor. You're not free. Ask if I was a labor man. I run with labor. I voting for labor. You're not free. Ask if I was a labor man. I run with labor. I voting for labor. Boom. They know I'm red, they know I'm brown, and you can see me jumping high up in the crowd. So tell a friend, I'm shouting loud. I supporting Comrade, it's labor we are for. Tell them labor. I run with labor, it's the labor. We run with labor, it's the labor. I run with labor, it's the labor. All right, the Comrade is in the house. And very soon you'll hear from the Comrade. We're making the point tonight that Dorchester Hill and around the area where we're standing tonight is significant for many reasons. As the Comrade makes his way to the stage, we come here on the 14th of March for National Heroes Day. And I'm going to allow, the Prime Minister is here, he just came from a meeting in Paul's Lot, and he is moving on as well to other meetings tonight. So we give him the opportunity to take the mic right now and to make his presentation. So make some noise for the Prime Minister as he comes.
What the NDP is interested in is commerce and melee. You could lick me up, you knock me down.
I get up back. I'm a hard man for dead. After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. When the bell ring, the whole of them dead, dead. After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. Yo, them a go get 5 in a row. What? Come where I go reach them back. What? The 5-star general of this thing locks up an election. We are voting back. Them a go get 5 in a row. What? Come where I go reach them back. What? The 5-star general is the leaks boss. When the bell ring, one more cutter. Well, them a lock. What the NDP is interested in is commerce and melee. You could lick me up, you knock me down. I get up back. I'm a hard man for dead. After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. When the bell ring, the whole of them dead, dead. After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. Yo! Comrades and friends, I'm very happy to be here with you in Dorsetshire Hill. I thank you, my princess. I love you too, baby. I am going from here to 3 other events, maybe 4. So I came from Paul's Avenue. I'm not going to stay too long with you. I want to crystallize what are the issues before us. In a few days' time, we will vote in the 10th general elections since independence. And the person who is speaking to you is the only one who has participated in all 10 since December 1979. I guess that's why they call me the ancient warrior. I've been around a long time. But because I've always had a rebel spirit, I've remained very young in my head and always looking how to can change things and do things for the better. And over the years, I acquired a lot of experience and knowledge. And we have a fantastic program of governance, and we have done very well thus far. I don't want to go over all the ground which you know about all the remarkable things we have done to transform this country for the better. From the airport to the education revolution, the health revolution, the housing, what we have done in sports and culture, what we have done for prestige overseas, United Nations Security Council, and all that. I want to talk about a few broad things which you have to consider as you go to the polls. There are 2 particular options before us. There's an option which on the face of it is seductive. You have passport, you have citizenship, you sell them. You get money, you bring the Chinese, and you see what happens. Well, we know what happens in other places. You all have seen the video from a fellow in Karakou talking about the Grenada experience. But I would also tell you about what I know. To begin with, in principle, your citizenship and your passport are sacred. They are sacraments of nationhood. And if you begin to sell them, you will sell anything and everything. I am quite sure that there are many things which are entirely out of order, which could be sold in this modern world, which you wouldn't want to be sold as part of your development. But when you sell your passports and people become citizens, you know, in St. Kitts has 50,000 citizens. That's what they have. But in addition, they have 25,000 citizenship which they sell. If only a fraction of those turn up to vote in St. Kitts, if only a fraction turn up,
they could decide what happened in elections. But even when they don't turn up, because of the way, the big money which they will bring for the passport and citizenship, they control politicians, they control the lawyers, them and the accountants, them who working with them. And they call the shots. So you go and you vote for a man or a woman and you think them running your country, is somebody who you don't know, somebody face who you don't see, them are the ones who run it. Secondly, when they are citizens, they can come and they don't require alien land holding license. They can just buy land like anybody else. The first thing they do, they start to buy up a whole heap of land. And they ring fence the land and you can't go upon it. And because they may have an extra dollar and there's more of them coming in, remember, is 1.3 billion Chinese you have, 1.3 billion. Billion. A billion is not 100 million, A billion is 1,000 million. And we are 1/10 of 1 million. So only a relatively small number of them can come or would come. And they will buy up the place. You can't go on it. And when they come build anything like what is happening in the other places, you know what they do in these countries? They make a camp when they're building anything. They don't hire anybody local. They bring everybody in. And they plant their own food. They go and fish in the river. You know the thing? You hear me? And they don't go anywhere at all. They ain't spend no money in no nightclub. Not like that. They come, they do what they're doing. And that's the point. That is the end. Well, in the case of Beckwith, they ain't got a river there. But they go other place. No. And then the dangerous part of this thing is that they're the ones who are financing the NDP. The NDP don't even know where they're inside of their own manifesto. And they're running, if you notice, the NDP has hardly any ground campaign. Their time is in the air. They're on social media because you got 3 people in England and 2 here from the same set of people who work for Donald Trump, trying to cover for people's mind. And they're spying on you through the internet. This is something very dangerous. So the NDP has put up a for sale sign in the shop window of St. Vincent and tell them come and buy. Now, we are telling you we're going to do it and have been doing it in the way all self-respecting countries do. Do it in the hard and smart way. My parents, your grandparents, used to think that we can have development on the basis of unlimited supplies of cheap labor. Nowadays, in this modern competitive world, we have to find the space of building this modern, many-sided post-colonial economy which is competitive, in which you're not building it on the basis of unlimited supplies of cheap labor. You're building it with unlimited supplies of knowledge and skill. And skill involves not just book learning, but practical things with your hands in all different areas. That's how you build it, and that is why we have carried out an education revolution. In every material particular. And you have seen what we have done in the transformation. To transform a country, you have to educate and train people. You have to build the infrastructure to bring people to sell your goods and services to them when you bring them, and to send it overseas. To bring them, you need an international airport and you need hotels, which is what we're doing. And you have to make sure you have packaging plan for fish and all the rest of it to sell them the fish and to export fish. And when you're sending out goods, you need to have a proper port. We ain't got a proper port. The port where we got in town is nearly 60 years old, and you want to Camden Park with the NDP bill. It's a little Mickey Mouse port, and they build it properly. I build it, the one way we're going to build, where I got the money from Britain and from the Caribbean Development Bank, is 200 million US, 540 million EC dollars. Already start the project. The first phase of the project is to move the people from the bayside who live in there. I start right, if you go over Lowmans, we start 47 houses out over there, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom hotel we start in there, and a couple of 3 bedroom. No, you can't get one of those. Those have to be for the people on the beach. You know, we have others building for other persons. So that's the first thing, the different options which you have in going forward. And I don't think that anybody will have any difficulty in rejecting the NDP approach and embracing ours. The second thing you have to go and vote about is leadership. No, I am not going to talk about the leadership, what we have done from the past coming up. I only take one set of cases on leadership since March the 11th, since the time of the pandemic. On March the 11th, we had our first case. A young lawyer, she went to England, she came back, and she was tested positive. Did her quarantine, everything went well. Then there was a second case, the woman from Oya, who she gallivanted all about, people get very worried and so forth. And then when they shutting down all over the Caribbean, as the Curtis come. Now what harm is this? The NDP say I must lock it down tight like a drum. Use draconian Chinese methods. State of emergency. Take away people's fundamental rights. Curfew from 8 o'clock the night till 6 o'clock the morning. Now I ask a simple question. If you have 2 cases and you're locking down the country, when you got 10, what you go do? You go bolt at the door them and keep people inside of the house. The thing didn't make any sense to me at all. And when they say, look at why this country doing it, that country doing it, I say, but that's foolishness. We put restrictions, but we talk to the people and say, this is how we have to do our business. And it worked well. And if you look over the whole period for the last 7 months, nobody in the Caribbean has done better than St. Vincent and the Grenadines with lives and livelihoods. In fact, we have done better than everybody else. We still have to be careful. You know, they said that I must close the school. You know, the schools in St. Lucia remain closed. They say they want to open back on the 9th of November. Could you imagine this? They say close the schools, postpone the exams. If I close the schools and postpone the exams, how you would get people to go inside of, we don't hold CPEA, how would I get the children to go into secondary school? The ministry had to unpick them. And you can bet your life that the people who would have get in grammar school, high school, and the so-called better school would have been the middle-class children. Poor people children wouldn't have a chance. And if you didn't have connections from Dorset Hill and Sion Hill with the people them, you would not get Because they would have been, you would have a lot of kong, You know it and I know it. And even though I'm Prime Minister, I couldn't go and look over every name I don't know. They'd have put in who they want to put in. No. The CPA wrote the exam and your children get into grammar school, high school. They have a chance, they have an opportunity. And then they say we mustn't have the CXC exam, we mustn't have CAPE. Well, now we had the CXC and the associate degree exam. Monday morning, I'm giving out to 1,047 students from CXC and associate degrees and CAPE for having reached the required standards for the tune of approximately $550,000. The $500 for having done well. That money would not have been available and those children would not have been able to go in after university or go to the community college. Leadership makes a difference, you know. When I tell you in these small countries, it's a narrow margin you have to make a narrow margin to make mistake, you know, and you can't take a chance on it. I want you to listen to me carefully on this. Over the last 20 years, we have had a lot of problems, a lot of natural disasters, the world economic system collapse, everything. People walking about tongue, they call on radio, say, oh God, St. Vincent dead now. And I will come on the radio and I will say, this is the problem. This is how I think we should deal with it. And with a patience and a calm, together we work. And we build it back better and stronger than before. Because we have demonstrated that we have the capacity to do these things. You can't take a chance. They tell you, give them a chance. I am prepared to give Friday a chance. We have a whole set of lotto games. You must go down there and buy a lotto ticket. And he say, Ralph in power too long. But how long is too long if things going all right? I mean, there are other things we have to do. As I demonstrate, I meet the glass empty. I fill up the glass with more than 3/4. And then, with them say, but look at this, less than a quarter here. He didn't do that thing there. He didn't do that thing there. He didn't do that little thing here. What about that one here? I say, okay. That's the reason why I'm asking for another term to finish full up the glass and do not leave behind any unfinished task. It's a simple question. This thing ain't complicated, you know. I'm putting it as you concentrate in your minds. Here is where we go in. Now, in relation to the A-levels and the associate degrees, I just announced 58 scholarships, national exhibitions, and bursaries. A few weeks before, I gave 394 tuition scholarships. If you don't write the exams, you can't get them things there. Tell me I must postpone. You think if Friday child was writing A-level exam, he don't want me postpone the exam? You know, I often wonder how some man does think. I thank God that he give me a lot of common sense. He give me book learning, but because of how I grew up, I have a lot of street smarts. You know what I mean? And you look at things in a balanced way, and I don't mimic anybody, you know. If you tell me something, I say, comrade, I don't know if I agree with you. Let me give you a different view. And I go talk to you about it. But anybody tell them Monday, the last thing they tell them Monday, them man do. It's lucky thing them man and a woman. Because women are far more sensible than them. They hold their mind. Except in West St. George, where the running a lady, she has a particular record. And Curtis got his record. You hear me? Because this is the third thing we have to look at candidates. No, I ain't saying nothing against Kay, Bacchus, Batiste. But when Curtis announced that he going to run, this is a man, since he's a youth, he is with every single organization ever built, sport, community, cultural, in West St. George. The man is a patriot. The man is a teacher at a young age. He get the pinnacle of his profession. He gets university degree, graduate work. He become headmaster at the grammar school. The first thing could come to K head. And usually the first thing which come to your head, sometimes you wonder about what people are thinking. She say that Curtis is retired. And that Curtis now looking to eat a food. Imagine that. Well, first of all, she older than Curtis. You know, she can't bring age into it. She older. She and fellas like Julian and Leacock and all of them around the same age, knocking their head close up to 70. Curtis is a boy compared to them. But when you see the man got his pension, the man build his house, when he come to eat a food, the man come to give service in another area. And I know that Bacchus has sworn a declaration that she's not under any of her own voluntary act. She has no allegiance to any other country in the world. But I hear a lot of people saying that she's an American citizen. But I really can't believe that. So what I'm asking Kay, just like how she did ask Louis, to prove that he is not an American citizen, I'm asking her to prove the same thing. You know, remember I ain't making no allegation. I say she sworn falsely, you know. I wouldn't do that without evidence. But a whole set of people attack. But all she has to do is prove it. Now, really, truly, what has Kate done in her long life for the people of West St. George? I ain't talking about somebody go to you and pay you for a service, to make a deed, to defend you in court. I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about that. Because if a businessman come and tell me, you must vote for him because he sell cloth or sell saltfish and smoke heroin, I say, well, that's the business you're in. I pay you for the cloth, the saltfish, and the smoke heroin. But so you're a lawyer, you perform a service, people pay you. Die nothing. You do it, all right. You have a profession. But what have you done for the people in West St. George? And Curtis is a man who you could trust. Curtis is a man who has demonstrated that he's a person of service. And you can watch Curtis. You can watch Curtis. See how he move, talk to him easy. Same thing with Luke. Now, you know when you know about people, Luke took over from Julian when Julian in 2005 as a young man. And he worked in the constituency, he ran in 2010. He lost by 400 and something votes. He ran in 2015, he pulled it back to about 149 against the leader of the opposition. Last election, Luke was the best performer in the election in terms, even though he lost. Now all he needs is a little push to carry him over. And I want you to help him. That's what he needs. Now, I know Luke and I know Bramble. And I tell you, Bramble can't stand inside the Luke shoes. Either in relation to his creative ideas, intelligence, commitment. Look, Bramble came from overseas. The Vincentian came in. But when Bramble lose, I am telling you, he's gone again. He ain't got the commitment. He come and he gone again. Now, a man like that, when he come, you have to twist him around. You have to see him and he moving. Good night. Now, let me say this. I was reading, Bramble made a speech the 22nd or 23rd of October. I get all their speeches transcribed here. I have a pile of them. And as political leader, I read all of them. It is painful to read them, because I'm real rubbish. Them a talk. But now and again, you get a good laugh. Bramble introduced himself at the meeting. He said, I am a humble youth. Humble? Bramble gamo braggadocio without achievement than anybody else who I know. Braggadocio without achievement. History, he was a goalkeeper. He passed exams at university. But you have a lot of goalkeepers and you have a lot of people who pass exams. There's no big thing to be a braggadocio about that. So humble ain't the word I go use. The second thing, youth. Bramble is 59 years old. He's the oldest youth I ever meet in my life. Imagine he say he will speak for youth. Kebaka's to it, almost empty. One is a big youth, one is about a young girl. I don't understand. I don't. Well, an old youth. An old youth. Oh, Heavenly Father. And look, I know Bramble's mother. I know Bramble's mother. She's a good woman. She's my friend. Always saw her as my friend. So I ain't going to say anything bad about Bramble because of his mother. But the point is this. Bramble, you don't know Bramble enough yet to risk to choose him. That's how I go put it. If he wants you to consider him, you should stay around for a 5-year period. Ground with you. So you get to know him well. But man just descend upon you. and who going to leave as fast as he come when Luke beat him. And I want to say to the portion of Dorsetshire Hill which is in East Kingston. For the last 20 years, you have been in opposition, your representative. And everything you say you want, when you go to them, you go to Eustace, you go to any of them, they tell you they're in opposition, they can't do nothing. There is not one single representative in the opposition who has done proper representation for the people. To be sure, they go to Parliament and they gallivant and they talk. But they don't get to people and do things. You have to be able to do things. When I'm in opposition, I used to do things for my constituency. You organize and you do things. And you will go to the government and make proposals to get things done. These fellas don't even come to the government to do anything. They just go and bra in Parliament. Don't be surprised, eh? I'm telling you this seriously. And listen to me, this ain't political old talk. I know you're too much up in Dorsetshire Hill. You're a practical people. The 8 seats we got, none of them, nobody could touch them. Montgomery Daniel is winning bigger than before. Orlando Brewster is winning bigger than Sir Louis won the last time. And those in between, they're untouchable. No. The other seats, Carlos is winning North Leeward. Minnie is winning South Leeward. And Luke is winning East Kingston.
Ready. Tell them say we ready.
No. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised that Debbie beats Cummins. Don't be surprised about that one. I'm telling you that. Leacock say in Parliament and on radio that he's almost 70 years old and he ain't going in opposition again. And if his party ain't win, he ain't going in opposition. Well, if Leacock win his seat, if we can Leacock win his seat, it's two things. You either resign, come over, for Leacock to come over, you have to spend some time in purgatory. You have to learn this Sankey which I'm going to sing for you. And when he's singing it, you gotta light a candle. You have to sing Mount Zion Hill, Mount Zion Hill, Mount Zion Hill. Well, that is the holy hill. I'll follow the comrade footsteps. Anywhere you go, I follow the comrade footsteps. Anywhere you go. You have to sing that song today. So I'm teaching him from now, from Dorsetshire Hill. So may as well, people in Central Kingston, just vote a good fella named Dominic and forget all of them things there. Now, election day. I want you to listen to me on this. I want you to go out early. You're going to be, the polling hours are from 7 to 5. And half an hour from 5 to 5:30. Anybody who is in quarantine after the first 5 days will get a pass to vote in that period of time. If you're in isolation, you ain't getting no pass. Okay? So that today is the last day for anybody to come St. Vincent from overseas who could vote on election day. Because the chief medical officer said if you come tomorrow, you wouldn't have done the 5 days. So she ain't giving you no pass. And she got that law. She has the power in the Public Health Act to do that. And we all agree on that, including the opposition. So that's where we are. So you don't have to frighten that you are going to go in a line with somebody in front or behind you who got COVID. No. In any case, if you want to be additionally safe, the ULP, we have bought 50,000 disposable masks. And we will have our agents who will give them out to you. And if you want to put them on, you put them on. And of course, if you go into the polling station with it, you'd have to take it off because people have to see your face. And because you have to touch things, you have to hand sanitize. If you don't want their hand sanitizer, you can take your own. You understand where they're coming from? We're doing all of that so to make sure that everybody turns out to vote without any fear whatsoever. Because once Labour people turn out and the rest of the sensible people who see Labour is the way, we are going to swamp the NDP and give them a defeat like they got in 2001. Vote Luke, vote Curtis. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless.
Ready, tell them say we ready, and we ready. It's 5 and they tell them Labour. I run with Labour. It's the Labour. We run with Labour. It's the Labour. I run with Labour. It's the Labour. You're not the asking for the Labour man. I run with Labour. I fought it for Labour. You're not the it was a Labour man. I run with Labour. I fought it for Labour. Boom. They know I'm red. They know I'm brown. And you can feel me jumping high up in the crowd. So tell a friend and shout it loud. I supporting Comrade. It's Labour we are for. Tell them Labour. I run with Labour. It's the Labour. We run with Labour. It's the Labour. I run with Labour. It's the Labour. You're not fair. If I was a Labour man, I run with Labour. I fought it for Labour. You're not me ask. If I was a Labour man, I run with Labour. I fought it for Labour. Push my head out my window and show them the 5 finger. I hope all you remember. Just show them your 5 finger. Comrade is the best leader. Just show them your 5 finger. On the 5th of November, just show them your 5 finger. Ready, tell them that we ready. Comrade is the best man to keep the country steady. Ready, let them know we ready. On November 5th, we voting for Labour. I run with Labour. It's the Labour. We run with Labour. It's the Labour. I run with Labour. It's the Labour. You're not fair. Asking for a Labour man. I run with Labour. I fought it for Labour. You're not fair. Asking for a Labour man. I run with Labour. I fought it for Labour. Boom. They know I'm red. They know I'm brown. And you can feel me jumping high up in the crowd. So tell a friend and shout it loud. I supporting Comrade. It's Labour we are for. Tell them Labour. I run with Labour. It's the Labour. We run with Labour. It's the Labour. I run with Labour. It's the Labour. You're not fair. Asking for a Labour man. I run with Labour. I fought it for Labour. You're not fair. It was a Labour man. I run with Labour. I fought it for Labour.
5 straight. We only just have come. I know a lot of them think it's easy to run a country, to run this Fiji. So they run them out and talk very loosely, but them not fooling anybody. To run a country you must have vision. A team with clear focus on a mission. Leadership with courage and honesty, and love for people like you help me. Hey! Hot up the head, burn them with red. 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 We fixed and ready, very much alive. Go tell everybody, Labour will survive. We fit and ready, and feeling the vibe. Come on everybody, Labour going for 5. 5 straight, burn them with red. 5 straight, very.
As the song goes, after this, them dead. After this, them dead. After this, them dead.
The NDP is interested in is commerce and milling. You could lick me up, you knock me down. I get up back. I'm a hard man for that.
After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. When the bell ring, the whole of them dead, dead. After this, them dead, dead. After this, them dead, them dead. After this, them dead. Yo, them a go get fired.
And I want you to remember something else too, you know. There's a man who lived not too far from here who was telling the comrade very early on to ring the bell, let we send them home. If you're claiming Luther for East Kingston, let me hear you make some noise. Let me see if the DJ could pull up the song there.
If you want, I don't care, cause Labour in control. Ring the bell, let we send them home. Comrade, ring the bell, let we send them home. Oh, ring the bell, let we send them home. Julian, ring the bell, let we send them home. Let me jump and sit 5 in a row.
Watch how we look nice in Dorchester Hill. They try have a meeting in French's the other night. And it's only the people who setting up the meeting being there. But on a cold, rainy night, we have a strong turnout right here in Dorchester Hill. And the people are out in the numbers from the community. Now the comrade set the matters before us in these elections out plainly for you tonight. And there are some things that I'd just like to touch on, which concern development in the community itself. One area which is very dear to my heart, and I think dear to the heart of the people of Dorchester Hill in general, is education. And you have the Dorchester Hill Primary School right there. And if you're proud of that school, let me hear you. That primary school right there, that primary school right there is the school which molded and shaped the first Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That school right there is the school that produced many successful businessmen right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and who turned out contractors and other persons who had extraordinary achievements. And it's very important for us to keep that school going and to build it up. And that is why the government in the past term spent over $1 million, $1.5 million to build up the Dorchester Hill Primary School. And you're supposed to be in East Kingston and you see there. So we spent $1.5 million on that school, not just for educational purposes, but right now we are in the hurricane season. And if we should have a hurricane here, the Dorchester Hill Primary School could serve as a hurricane shelter. A holistic approach. And that school, as I was saying earlier, borders on the site of the obelisk. I have heard historians say many things about Dorchester Hill. Some of them have the view that Joseph Chatelier himself died here and was buried right here. That makes this place significant. We have to fix up the obelisk even further, and we have to make sure that we revamp the ceremony for National Heroes Day right here in Dorchester Hill. And even before that, I remember a couple years ago, there was a group, there was a committee from the community which put on a spectacular display of lights at Christmas time right on the field next to the school. Do you want to see light up come back to Dorchester Hill? Do you want to see light up here? Well, I'm telling you tonight that a part of my plan is to support Christmas light up activities throughout the constituency, including here at Dorchester Hill. And we are on the point of education. We haven't really gotten off that point yet. And education is more than just simply the school building. Education is providing support as necessary for children, for students, so that they could fly like eagles with their wings unclipped. It is about providing the support that will make sure that when scholarships are given out, and the Prime Minister just spoke about over 50 scholarships, 58 scholarships to be precise. What a government. Moving from a situation where we just had 1 or 2 scholarships literally to a situation where we have 58 scholarships being distributed. But what is important in the circumstances of equality of opportunity is for scholarships to be secured by people from Dorchester Hill. Dorchester Hill has produced national scholars in the past, and I am sure you will produce national scholars in the future. We have to invest in education. We have to invest in the building for the school. We have to invest in academic programs, and we have to see how best we could facilitate the proper development of our children from an education standpoint. Let us make it our goal and our objective to have very often 100% pass rate coming out of the Dorchester Hill Government School. Let us set our children on a firm platform when they're going into secondary school and when they are building up their career. Now, education, to my mind, goes hand in hand with sports. And sports is important to the life of this community as well. And I am happy to announce from this platform tonight that we have already identified a $1 million project for the further development of the Dorchester Hill playing field. Curtis King behind me saying how that is in West St. George. But I want to remind him that he's in East Kingston tonight. And I want to say further that a lot of people from East Kingston going to be playing ball down on that field. And I want to challenge him because he likes cricket very much. I want him to come up with his own 11, and I'm going to come up with my 11. And when we finish fixing the playing field, there's going to be a clash down there. And if he ain't careful, I might put back on my plain clothes and make some runs on the field. I ain't going to challenge him to try that, you know. But there is a strong history and heritage and legacy of sports in this community, and we are going to honor that legacy. We are going to make sure that we have a playing field that is in good condition, and a part of the plan is to make sure that there is an access road to it, and once that playing field is in good condition, we will bring about one component of a 10-point plan that I have for the constituency, and that is a resurgence of sports. I hope that at least some of you were able to listen on Thursday night to a function we had at French's house, at which we discussed different elements of the plan. Now, there's a lot of work going on in many areas of government. And I want to highlight one area. And this is the area of roads. I know that we have some work to do where roads are concerned, but I want to let everybody know that there is work with respect to roads happening right now, not too far from here. Any of you familiar with the place called Arrowroot Flat? If you know Arrowroot Flat, let me see you put your hand in the air. And do you know that right now they're doing work on the Arrowroot Flat Road? That road, well, you must check it out if you don't know. That road is one of the most difficult roads from the standpoint of its condition in the constituency, and it is being done. And there's more work to be done on the road, including in some areas of the main road and the area going around from Miller's Gate. So you're going to see more progress in that respect. And we have to have some work as well under a very important government project called PAVE. The government has invested so heavily in footpaths. And we're standing not so far away from School Hill. And I think that we need to do some work on the footpath in School Hill to make it more comfortable for persons who have to access their homes through that area. So we're thinking about the things which have an impact on your lives. One other thing that I have noticed from my observation is the fact that it is often very difficult for persons to find transportation from the bottom of Dorsetshire Hill down at Sign Hill coming up to the top at home. It is not an economic route. The vans don't drive here. Even Joey, who has his own van, he not running the Dorsetshire Hill route. He go in Glen. And I recognize that on mornings, very often, you have persons sitting at the bottom of the hill, waiting to come up to work or for some other purpose. On afternoons, you have children from school, you have other persons again, sitting at the bottom of the hill, waiting to come up. And we are going to do something about that. It is a part of the plan to put in place a shuttle service to make access to Dorsetshire Hill easier for persons. So we believe that between the hours of, say, 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. and then in the afternoon, at times to be determined, that shuttle service would be able to make your life a lot easier coming up here. And we have a track record of performance and there's some things that you should remember. There was a time, for instance, when there was a serious problem about water pressure in Dorsetshire Hill. Any of you remember having to open your taps in the morning and the water hardly running out? That was a problem that came to my attention when I was the Minister of Health during this term. And guess what? I acted on it promptly. The Central Water and Sewerage Authority is within my ministry. I spoke and I wrote to the manager of the Central Water and Sewerage Authority, Mr. Gart Saunders, and they put in place the infrastructure to make sure you have a better water supply right here in Dorsetshire Hill. These things sometimes we might forget and that we might take for granted, but any little way in which I could help to improve the quality of your life, you could count on me to do it. Now, there's something that I've been talking about, and I think that this is an important project for our constituency at large. It's a matter of public health. But before I get into the matter of public health, I just want to talk about some health matters in our constituency. Do you know that we just carried out substantial renovations at the Sign Hill Clinic, which many people from this community use? We spent $150,000 fixing up the Sign Hill Clinic, and we're doing a little retaining wall as well, and we're fixing up the road so you have proper access to the clinic and therefore access to health services. We are invested in health right here in the community. I say charity begins at home. It's not just what you see on the national level. And to be sure, on the national level, we have done a lot of good and constructive work. Not so long ago, all that persons knew was the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. Right now, and during my tenure, I opened more health facilities in this country than any other health minister in the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We opened, as a big thing, the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center in Georgetown. And that is a facility that has helped to transform the condition of health in our country. That's a facility that helped us to introduce dialysis services to St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the very first time. Patients suffering with kidney problems. And not only I did that, as if to make the story sweeter. My own sister is a doctor, a kidney specialist, a nephrologist working at Georgetown and also working between Kingston. Joey saying that is his girl. I don't know if her husband will take that so lightly, So we opened the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center. And we're providing dialysis services for the first time in the public sector in St. Vincent. This government would go down as the government to introduce dialysis to this country. We will also be known for the expanded cancer treatment program that we put on at Georgetown. We had a limited operation at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. When we moved into the bigger space, we could have expanded. And we expanded, and that program is doing well and saving lives. And we want to do more for persons who are affected by cancer even. But we're talking about health facilities, broadly speaking. And we move away from the situation when there was just health in one part of the country to where we have the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center, to where we have, and we opened this facility, the Chateau Bel Air Smart Hospital, to where we have a polyclinic at Bocament, to where we have the Levi Latham Health Center that was substantially renovated, to where we have an isolation center for the management of COVID-19. Health is one of the most challenging ministerial portfolios, but I was equal to the task at every turn. I did my best to protect the health of this nation, and the results are there. And even where we didn't open a facility for the first time, we substantially improved many facilities, including the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center. And I know persons from Dorchester Hill who work at the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center. I want to thank them for their contribution in that area. We spent $4.1 million renovating the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center. We also did work for persons who are old, disabled, indigent, or who are in some type of need. We also did work at the Lewis Punnett Home. We built a transitional Lewis Punnett Home. Again, I think we spent around $2 million there because we wanted the elderly people of this country to live in dignity. And guess what? We are setting ourselves on course to build a beautiful, fantastic, acute referral hospital in Annesville. Right where we used to have the E.T. Joshua Airport. So things are happening in health nationwide, and things are happening in health in East Kingston, because we're planning very soon, hopefully this week, to reopen the Sign Hill Clinic so you'd have better services right there. And don't think that we just want to open a fix-up clinic for you. We want to do more than that. We want to make sure that you have a living nurse right at the Sign Hill Clinic who is able to deal with emergencies. We want to make sure that it's not only on a Wednesday you could go to the clinic to see a doctor. We want more doctor days at that clinic. And we want to make sure if you are not in a condition to come out to the clinic, the doctor will come to you to take care of you at your home through a program of home medical visits. And we want to make sure that if you need, in the circumstances of an emergency, to actually go to a health facility, that you could get there through emergency medical transportation services. All this we are committed to doing for you in East Kingston. So we're going to take health higher. We're not just going to lift SVG higher, we're going to take health higher. We're going to take health higher, and we're going to take public health higher. Let me tell you, I have been throughout this constituency, and I know one woman from Kingston Hill who had to deal with some medical conditions. And she lives in a situation where she has an outside bathroom. They call them pit latrines. And because of her medical condition, she was no longer able to move from her house to go outside to use that facility, and she had to go and live by somebody else. That's a lady from Kingston Hill. Not so long ago, I met a lady in French's. This lady is paralyzed, unable to take care of herself. And she has again to grapple, to deal with the situation of having a bathroom outside. Not convenient. She's already immobile. And the matter is compounded by the way in which she has to go and use the washroom, the bathroom facilities. And these sorts of experiences and interactions with persons, and also the public health considerations, tell me that it is important for us to do something about outdoor bathrooms. And I am setting as our goal in East Kingston the eradication of all outdoor bathrooms throughout our constituency. Be they in Kingston Hill, in French's, in Dorchester Hill, in Longwall, in Barracks Road, in King Garden, in Bay Hill, in Roseau, in Walvaroo, in Plant, wherever they are, we are coming after them for their eradication. So we are planning to do important work in many areas in this constituency. One very important thing has to do with jobs and job creation and support for entrepreneurship. We have many talented people in this community, and we want to make sure that as long as you are prepared to work, you have the opportunity to work. This government has provided so many opportunities. It is a monumental achievement that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we now have an international airport. They've been talking about building an airport for 100 years, and it was only delivered under this Unity Labour Party administration. And the airport was built. When the Comrades talk about building the airport, other people saying, we're going to find the money to do that. Find it where? But we showed that we could find the money, and where there's a will, there's a way. That is why the airport is here today.
784, fully labor, 100%. Look, Browne fees, Kingston.
So we built that, and as a result of building that, we gave ourselves the opportunity, and remember talking about jobs. First of all, on the airport construction, there were jobs. At the new airport, there are jobs, because the operation at Argyle employs more people than the operation at Iti Joshua, including people from Dorchester Hill, including other persons from East Kingston. But apart from that, it led to substantial investment in our country. Do you think that reputable entities like Sandals would have been thinking about coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines without the international airport at Argyle? And now Sandals is here because of that investment. And during the construction of Sandals, they are going to generate about 1,000 construction jobs. 1,000 jobs. And during the operation, at the very outset, is another almost 1,000 permanent jobs for people in this country. This is a government which has vision. Where there's no vision, the people perish. And where there's a vision, the people will prosper. And the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are prospering right now because of the vision of this Unity Labour Party administration. Ready?
It's 5 in the till. Tell them labor. I run with labor. It's the labor. We run with labor.
So, and the thing is, it's not just Sandals. We have Sandals, we have Holiday Inn, we have Marriott, we have Royal Mill. It's a whole set of 5-star hotels coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that is why we're saying that we also have a 5-star government in this country. 5-star hotels and 5-star government for good terms deserves another. And we're going to come in stronger than ever in this term. If you believe.
Them politically done dead already. Now it's time for the burial. I say labor platoon. We ain't no buffoon. And if we come in like this.
They politically done that already. Well, remember when we were down Richmond Hill playing field, I was a little host. I couldn't make it that night. But I come out to Dorchester Hill to talk tonight. I'm still taking it easy with the voice because they have more stops on the campaign. But I am giving you the full measure of the thoughts I have for our development in this constituency right now. So we have jobs. We have jobs with the hotels. We have jobs with other investments. We have a call center right now, Clare Harbour Call Center, which has employed, I think, maybe so far, 200 persons. And they're climbing higher. So, there are jobs in hotels, there are jobs with Clare Harbour, and there are jobs in many areas. The government itself has carved out several important job areas. Anybody knows about the YES program? Do you know about the SET program? Have people in Dorchester Hill benefited from these programs? Where would we be without them? And where would we be, for instance, without the funding that is provided by Taiwan for the YES program? Because the NDP right now is talking about moving away from Taiwan and establishing relations with China, and that is not in our interest. That is something that will affect programs positively impacting on people right now. That is something which would jeopardize scholarships that have students in Taiwan right now. We have to stay steady in government. And as long as something is good, you can't get too much of it. And this government is a good government. So we're keeping this government in power.
784, fully labor.
We're keeping the ULP administration in power.
Five straight, burn them with red. 5 straight, bury the dead.
The Prime Minister already spoke about another important plank of our policy, and that plank has to do with the need for us to resist a group of persons coming into power whose only plan is to sell passports. That is their recipe for everything. But that is not a solution. That is not a solution to the particular problems that we have in this country. And we are going to march forward with the Unity Labour Party. We want to support entrepreneurs in this country and entrepreneurs in Dorchester Hill. I know many persons, and actually, I believe that in the future, it may well be appropriate for us to have a school of entrepreneurship right here, sponsored and dedicated to some of the businessmen who have excelled and imparting skills and knowledge to the next generation to make sure that we could continue in this culture of business excellence. Now, there are many persons talented in craft. I mentioned the way in which that craft and that talent in craft came out. I mentioned the Christmas light up, and a lot of the talent in craft came out there. But when we had our unveiling of plans for the constituency, I mentioned a gentleman by the name of Vanley Graves. Doesn't live too far from here, just down the road. And he's a man who is into bamboo craft. And I believe that we could open up markets for persons like Vanley and his craft. And if you have talent in one area or the other, this is a government that will be there to support you with the development of that talent. This is a government which came up with an entire program, an entire system of prime grants promoting youth micro-enterprises just to be of some assistance. These prime grants could help the young mechanic who wants to have a hand in developing his business or setting up a shop. This prime program could help a young farmer who might want to get supplies for our upcoming farm. This prime program could help people like Anne-Marie with her shop to build it up, to develop it, so that it could become an even more active hub right here in Dorchester Hill. So we have to see how best we could utilize the resources at our disposal to build up entrepreneurship in this community. We are here not too far from a church, the evangelical church, an important institution. And I want us to forge forward and develop partnerships with churches for the spiritual development of our communities as well. I believe the church is an important institution, and we should have a partnership with the church for the execution of its work. And it brings me to the motivation of the theme for our campaign. One time I was checking out the scriptures in the area of the Beatitudes in the Bible, Matthew chapter 5, and I saw a particular section of it. And in my Bible, that section had a subtitle, God's People Make a Difference. And that's why we coined as a campaign theme in this constituency, Make a Difference. Because I believe it sums up our mission in a nutshell. I want to make a difference in your life. I want to help you achieve your own goals and aspirations. I want to help you achieve your intentions for community development. I want to provide strong leadership and active representation to the people of Dorchester Hill, to the people of East Kingston, and the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I also believe that this is our time to shine in this constituency. The Prime Minister himself said that in terms of improvement, we were the best performer in this constituency in the last election. He made the point that we went from a position of having a deficit of 467 to having a deficit of 149. So we improved by over 300 votes in one election cycle. And nothing like a man who is a newcomer to this constituency. Nothing like a man who has performed poorly in all his previous jobs. Nothing like a man who was exposed on radio earlier this week by his immediate supervisor from when he was working at our embassy in Washington is going to come between us and victory in East Kingston. I don't know if you heard what was said on radio. You believe that a man who lied to the ambassador when he was working at Washington and who said that he was doing a PhD in economics just so that he could have time off from work and do his own thing, you are going to allow him to become your representative in East Kingston? A man who had to be fined and sanctioned by the Service Commission Department of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for breaching the terms and conditions of his employment when he was working at our embassy in Washington. You are going to allow him to become your representative in East Kingston? A man who had, when he had the simple job of an acting projects officer, had to be reprimanded by his supervisor for a poor attitude, a lack of dedication, and a careless approach to his work. You're going to allow him to become the representative in East Kingston? A man who had to resign his job, according to Ambassador Ellsworth John, from Suriname as the OAS representative because of his involvement in an alleged fraud involving sums of money, almost $200,000. You are going to allow him to become your representative in East Kingston? Tell this man to go back where he come from. Tell him to go back where he come from. And tell him that in East Kingston, we are on the road to victory.
784, fully labor, 100%.
We are on the road to a historic victory, and I don't want you to take your foot off of the accelerator. We are going to move fast. We are going to move hard. In upcoming days, we are going to rally our troops. We are going to rally our forces. The final voters list has been published. I want you to go and figure out and find out where you are voting. The persons from Dorchester Hill in East Kingston would normally vote either at the clinic or at the Maurice Seals building. But I want you to know that you are now going to vote at the Anglican Church in Sign Hill. So make sure you familiarize yourself with that polling station, because that is a polling station where this man Bramble is going to take licks. He is going to take licks like peas in that polling station. I want us to go out with a vengeance and to vote for your future and to vote for proper representation in Dorchester Hill and in East Kingston. And I am committing myself to being there for you as best as possible. Comrades, it's an honor as usual to be in Dorchester Hill. We brave the weather and we will brave it again if necessary, because I love you and I love being here with you. And just to close, leadership, according to a book I recently read, is about being involved in something greater than yourself. And I consider the project that we have set for ourselves in East Kingston to be greater than me, to be greater than you in an individual way. It is to uplift our communities and our nation. And the most important character trait for a leader is love. You have to love people, and you have to be committed to sticking it out. I've shown you my commitment to sticking it out when there may have been other options, because I think this is what is important for me to do. This is what is important for me to do. So you have me here with you. I am dedicating my life to helping the persons in East Kingston achieve their full potential and giving you great representation. Good night. Thank you. God bless you.
Tell them say we red and we ready. It's 5 and they tell them labor. I only with labor. It's labor. We only with labor. It's labor. I only with labor. It's labor. Boy, you're not fair. labor man. I run with labor, I fought it for labor. You're not me ass, if I was a labor man. I run with labor, I fought it for labor. Boom, they know I red, they know I'm proud.
Well, my sister, she was doing a lot of work on the loudspeaker today, going through the constituency, and you know now, it seems as if this hosting is a little bit contagious. So, I have to introduce the next speaker. And it is really my honor to introduce him. Because I could tell you that you have an excellent man coming up to be your representative in West St. George. When I was a student at the grammar school, and in particular in third form, this gentleman by the name of Curtis King came back, and he was responsible for my instruction as a teacher in history. He opened my appetite and my interest in history. He didn't stay in the position of teacher. He rose through the ranks and became the principal or the head teacher of the St. Vincent Grammar School, showing progress. And now he is here at a position of an even higher calling to be the representative of the people of West St. George after the next general elections. I don't think that there could be any other person, any more suitable person to represent the people of West St. George. He has shown a commitment over the course of his entire life to the people of that constituency. He is a worthy successor to Ses Mackey, who is demitting office right now. I want you to make some noise in that session hill for Mr. Curtis King as he takes the mic tonight.
Comrades of Labor, as Luke said, this whole thing, like it catching on, came from an ex-meeting earlier. But I couldn't miss being here because this is part of the constituency of West St. George. So good night, comrades and friends of Labor. Good night, comrades. Are you alive? You see, the Prime Minister spoke, Luke spoke, and I noticed Luke want to take some of our projects, but I have no problem. We will work together to produce them. After all, we are all in the Labour family. But what he has done is to provide me with the opportunity to speak on some other issues of importance, especially as they relate to this upcoming elections. So, I'm going to spend some time on that. But I want to impress on you tonight that Labour is alive and well. I didn't hear you. Labour is alive and well. And because we are alive and well, that other party is embarking on a series of nefarious activities to see if they could hinder our role into the fifth term. And I want you to pay attention because I'm hearing some of them. They recognize that once the supporters of Labour turn up to the polls, there's no doubt about it, Labour will be voted into office for fifth term. So they are trying to stop that. And what they're trying is to work on the minds of persons, and especially persons who are not paying attention. So one of the simplest things they are saying to you is to use a pen when you go to mark your ex. I want to repeat. They are saying use a pen when you go to mark an ex. Comrades, friends, you cannot use a pen. Otherwise that would be a spoiled ballot. You are provided with a pencil, use the pencil. The other thing I see them doing, they are tearing down all of our posters as if to suggest that they are the only ones who are important and they are the only ones present in the constituency. But comrades, friends, let me tell you this. They could tear down as much posters as they want, but they cannot tear apart the bond of love between you and the United Labour and the Unity Labour Party.
Them politically done dead already. Now it's time for the burial. I say Labour platoon, we ain't no buffoon.
Yes, you see, in that party, as was said before, you have a number of persons who know that this is their last chance. And they will do any and everything to get in. Because most of them heading for age 70. So when they lose, they're not sticking around. Well, the major don't tell you he ain't going back in opposition. And we know we're going to vote them into opposition. So if he ain't going back in opposition, where he going? He going home. What did he do? He going home, man. Because we're sending them home after this election. But it is important that you recognize that you have to go out to the polls and vote. You have to get up early. You have to encourage your children, those of voting age. You have to encourage your neighbors, those of voting age, to turn out and go to the polls and mark your X solidly next to the star.
Five straight, burn them with red. Five straight, bury the dead. Them think we weary, we just a come.
You see, this opposition party has demonstrated no love whatsoever for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And they have shown scant respect for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I will illustrate some of them. Now, every administration from St. Joshua back in the 60s, right up to 2001, wanted to see the construction of an airport in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This Unity Labour Party had the courage to undertake such a venture. When we would have completed the work and ready now to open that airport, you imagine that the opposition leader wrote to the authorities in the Caribbean responsible for giving a pass mark to the airport to tell them they must prevent any planes from landing at that airport. These are the same people who want to now lead this country. These are serious people. These are people who love St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I want to go again and point out to you that when this Unity Labour Party, in its effort to lift our people higher, in its effort to enhance and develop among our people a sense of national pride and dignity and prestige, and when this Unity Labour Party embarked on a 10-year campaign to get a seat on the Security Council of the United Nations, the most important international body in the world. These people in the NDP who don't want to be in government wrote every single country in the world asking them not to support St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the bid to have a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. These are people who love St. Vincent. I ask you, these are people who love St. Vincent. These are people we should trust by putting them into office. Because I have looked and studied this NDP administration. And it's for that reason why I decided that for me, they are no longer NDP. They are the the negative discussion party. Pure negative discussion. Everything they say no to. So that our efforts to enlift our people and to lift them up higher is always met with no, no, no. And yet still, these same people want to run this country. I remember for 4.5 years, they cuss out everybody. They cuss out the Christians. They say the Christians, them supporting the ULP. They cuss out the religious leaders. I used to listen to the radio station. For 4.5 years, they cussed the young people. The major who lived down the road, he said, you should ring the children age too many of them supporting the Unity Labour Party. So, how come now these people all of a sudden love the young people? How come all of a sudden they love Christians? And I had to laugh earlier this week because the leader of the opposition went to the community college. You know, the comrade leader for the Unity Labour Party went wrong there. So he decided that he going down there now because he doesn't want the comrade to steal any influence from him. So he said. And he gone wrong there. And a bright girl asked him a simple question. Up to now, the man can't answer the question. But these are the people who want to lead this country. These are the people who talk about having interest in our young people. And then, when you listen to the foolishness they're talking, you know that they are not ready for leadership. Everybody in this country knows that the YES program was introduced as a strategy to engage the young people with on-the-job training. Everybody knows that, and they are paid a stipend, not a salary. He gone wrong, they go talk about the young people and the YES program working for a salary and proceeding to name it. But these are the same people who not too long ago talk about the YES program being the youth exploitation program. Today they're saying they're going to expand it. These are people who are serious. I want you to understand that these people are desperate. And they would come and tell you everything possible to convince you to support them. But we know they are not serious. And we know that they are not genuine. Because for 4.5 years, they have been saying to us the very opposite of what they're saying today. I want to remind you all, because it is very important. When in 2001, this administration came to office, there were only 20%, in other words, 2 out of 10 children who were under the age of 5 who were given access to what we call today preschool or early childhood education centers. 2 out of 10, 20%. Today, under this administration, over 90% of those children under the age of 5 going to early childhood centers. And the government has taken the initiative to build and introduce them at some of the primary schools. I want to go further. That when these children entered primary school, back then, the chances of them going on to secondary school was very limited because only 4 out of every 10 had access to secondary education. We have to recall these things. But today, 100% of these students have a chance to go on to secondary school. You know, these people in the opposition, when they had the opportunity to look at universal secondary access, you know what they said? They said, we will do a pilot project. And depending on the result of the pilot project, we would introduce universal access to secondary schools in the year 2030. You could believe that? We are living in 2020 and we have already introduced universal access 15 years ago. We have to tell you the truth. Because we don't want these people to get away with the nonsense. And pretending that they love St. Vincent and they want to advance St. Vincent. Pretending that they want to lift St. Vincent higher. I am saying their records have shown that they have no such interest. And we must say to them, never, never will we allow you to be in office.
Ready, 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 ready. Tell them say we ready and we ready. It's 5 in the tail.
Yes, man, let it take 5 in the tail. I come now to the issue of sports. Our young people must always be provided with the opportunities to display their talents in all aspects of their lives. Sports is an important one. We had Arnesville playing field. We still have it, yes, but I'm saying back in 2001, Arnesville playing field was the major sporting facility in the country. And we hosted regional cricket matches. Only Arnesville could have hosted them. At the lower level, we would play at Sign Hill and outside the Arnesville main playing field. This administration have upgraded playing facilities on the windward side, Park Hill, and the leeward side, Cumberland, that allow us now. And several other playing fields too. But I'm just identifying those two where you can now play regional and sub-regional matches. But these are the same people in the opposition who are telling you that this government has done nothing for sports. So I want you to understand that you are getting all of these mixed signals from the opposition only because they want to get into office. But I usually say, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are smart people. The same people that these opposition people cost for the 4.5 years, going to the polls on November 5th and teach them a lesson. The same people that it cost for 4.5 years, go and send them home. Because you know why? It is the ex of the people that are going to hot up their head and send them home.
Them politically done dead already. Now it's time for the burial. I say labor platoon, we ain't no buffoon. NDP coming like Disney cartoon. And why you salute the 5-star general? Oh, Comrades is the 5-star general.
Now, I must say a little about the constituency, despite all that would have been said already. Because when I look at West St. George, and I'm speaking to the residents of West St. George now, I see one of the fastest growing constituency in terms of population size and economic activities. And I see great transformation in our socio-economic lives. I see an enhancement of our living standards. In fact, when I look at our constituency, I see three distinguishing features emerging. One, to the southern tip, we have a city. We talk about building a modern city, but we see a city already emerging in that southern tip of West St. George. That's why you have so many business places over there. In the middle and the midsection of this constituency, I see the development of middle-income communities throughout, whether it's in Dorsetshire, Belair, what have you. In fact, people are constructing houses with downstairs and extra rooms so that they could rent the people who are coming in to find work or study. I see people building large apartments so that they could accommodate the people coming in to work and study. And to the northern tip of the constituency, I see great potential for our agriculture and tourism. Talk about Fenton, Erie Hill, northern part of Belmont, even some parts here in Dorsetshire. However, comrades, there are still small pockets of areas where the significant transformation that have impacted positively on people's lives are not very visible. We have to address these areas. And that is why the new ULP administration that would take office after the 5th of November, when we send the NDP people home, will have to address these issues. And already the ULP administration has embarked on a program aimed at removing some of these difficulties. So we will see a continued focus on the education revolution. We will see a continued focus on strategies designed to help the poor and needy in our communities. And of course, we will continue to build a modern post-colonial economy that would have a greater diversity. In other words, not dependent on a single product. So, when we look at West St. George, we have already identified certain projects that would assist in the creation of employment and would assist in the development of our human capital. I want to quickly mention some. We talk all the time about the development of a modern city in the area where the old E.T. Joshua Airport was. The anchor project for that is the acute referral hospital that Luke spoke about. But next door to that, we have one of those small pockets of areas where you are not seeing the positive impact of the transformation in the constituency. I speak to the people living in Polyard. But this current government is not going to leave them there. This current government is not going to allow them to continue to live in that sort of life. We are going to lift them higher. And so, we are going to relocate those residents from Polyard into homes that are decent and fitting for them as humans. Secondly, not too far from here, the people who live in the informal settlement in what we call Upper Queens Drive, there are persons who have been living there for over 40 years. these people want to move on with their lives. Their circumstances, because they don't have title to the lands, do not allow them to do certain things that would help them to enhance their living circumstances. Once again, this caring government has already taken a decision to offer these people the lands on which they have lived for so long at a token price of 50 cents per square foot, so that they could now own their own lands and do the things that they would like to do to enhance their living circumstances. The government deserves an applause for that, man. Luke talked about this playing field. But what I want to tell Luke, because he doesn't know this, that the government has already acquired the surrounding lands, including that gives access to the playing field. And as he says, the intention is to develop that into a multidiscipline playing facility. That's to say, you don't just play cricket, play football and other sports. And we know that cricket is a strong cultural practice up here, but we have to encourage the youngsters to embark on other disciplines too. I say also, in this West St. George constituency, we have built 3 wonderful bridges in the Fenton area. Fenton, as I said, has great potential for ecotourism, well, tourism in general, as well as it is the home base for large-scale agricultural production in the constituency. The intention is now to resurface that entire Fenton Road, running from Daphne right over into Green Hill. And that would also serve as a nice, easy, relaxing bypass road. This is a government that is thinking about the comfort, about the development of our people. This is not a government that is thinking willy-nilly about how to embark on development. This is a government that studied where we came from and examined where the strengths are, where the weaknesses are, and work on these to enhance our living circumstances. So when we talk about lifting St. Vincent higher, we are doing so from the firm commitment that our people, while they are not better than anybody else, nobody better than us.
You help the guy to win this election, but not on a Friday.
Before I leave, we talk about education all the time. And when we talk about enhancing the education revolution, we hear the criticism all the time that we need more skills. Everybody can't do academic. Yes, we need to encourage more skills. And this administration is doing that. But I don't agree with those people who tend to think that for some reason or the other, academic training should be over there and skills over here. We have to merge the two. And the intention now that we have introduced universal secondary access is that over time, everyone with the ability would be in a position to benefit maximally from what we call universal access to secondary. So that when you are academically trained, you could then move into a skill and lift yourself to that level where you become so good that you make enough money to enhance yours and your family living standard. And I'll give you an example. Right in this constituency, we have a young man. He is not a carpenter. He is not a tradesman. This guy, he studied music. And then he did a lot of studies in IT, information technology. And over time, he realized with the skill he has in IT, and I'm talking to you young people out there, y'all love these gadgets. Nothing wrong with that. But you have to utilize that information technology skills that the gadgets expose you to. This young man, what he did, he utilized his IT skills in a non-traditional field. In other words, he, while not being a carpenter, sat down, came up with the idea that, look, with my IT skills, I could produce products that the carpenter and other tradesmen would produce. And he's doing it effectively. You know how? What he has done is to, with assistance obviously, purchase a computer, which is simple. You might get one for $2,000, might even be cheaper dollars. But he bought a machine for over $103,000. And he connected that machine to the computer. You know what happens now? Any design that his mind conceive of, that computer can design it, link it into the computer, into the machine, and the machine produces it. So, if this gentleman wants to make a plaque, and the plaque has a design of a car, the machine would produce it once the computer designs it. That is skills. But that is taking skill to a next level. And to do that, you must have a basic secondary education. So that is why I say to all the young people, don't waste time at school. Education is the sure way out of poverty. I know it. I experience it. And we must not limit our possibilities, because once our mind conceive it, we could achieve it. And that is the message I've been giving to young people over the last 37 years. It's the same message I'm bringing to you now, that I've decided to provide the rest of my energy towards the enhancement of our communities. So that, comrades, friends, we have a task ahead of us. This is about seriousness. This is about developing ourselves and our community to that stage where we could sit back and relax and say, look, I've done my part. I've paved the road for my children and grandchildren. And we all can do it. What we have to do is to forget now about those who are trying to put obstacles in our way, about those who are trying to sell out our country with the nonsense about selling passports. This is our 41st anniversary of independence. This independence that we have fought for, and we have fought for it for several hundred years. And this independence help us to fashion our country in our own way. But you have people now coming and saying that they are willing now to allow some foreigners to dictate who should be a Vincentian and who should not be a Vincentian. We can't have that. And that is why I am saying these elections are very important. These elections are very important, and we need to take them serious. I am going to close by reminding you once again that all the nice time that we have had at these meetings, all the sweet music that we play at these meetings, all the wonderful presentations that we hear from the platforms at these meetings would mean very little if we sit down home on Thursday the 5th and don't go out there and mark your X solidly against the star or next to the star. Because if we don't, we would be allowing some people who are not serious about the development of this country to get into office. And just like we took years to repair the disaster that they had provided us with over the 17 years, we would take more years to repair the damages if we allow that to happen. So, comrades, friends, I leave you with this message. Go out and vote on Thursday, 5th November. Encourage your spouse. Encourage your children. Encourage your neighbors. Once they're 18 years and over and their names on the electoral list, encourage them to go out and vote. And with that, we know we would be having what? We would be having what? Five in a row. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your week.
5 straight, burn them with red. 5 straight, bury the dead. Them think we weary, we just a come. 5 straight, we only just a come. I know a lot of them think it easy to run a country, to run this Fiji. So they run them out and talk very loosely, but them not fooling anybody.
Comrades, if it's one thing you recognize is that this party has the top artists in this country giving songs for this campaign. We have, first of all, Luther. We brought Ring the Bell, Ring the Bell. After Luther, we had Fireman. Or Fireman say, Labour people, Vincy people, how are you answer? Answer Labour. That's the song.
You help the guy to win this election, but not on a Friday.
And after that, we had Skinny Fabulous coming with his tune. And he's saying, it's 5 in the team.
Ready. Tell them say we
ready. Well, I saw a Labour girl today. I was thinking that we should change it from red and ready to red and rosy. Because she was rosy. And I was saying to myself a while ago, I wonder who would win the Labour song Road March and who would win the Labour song Soca Monarch, because they have stiff competition. But let me tell you something, one of my favorites comes from a homegrown talent, an emerging artist by the name of Dose Up. You ever hear the Dose Up? And one of the message that Dose Up is sending is that we fully labor. Not no halfway labor, not no softly labor, but strong labor, full labor. And I want Dose Up to come to give you the full performance here tonight on stage. Big up Dose Up.
Labor people! Let me see the signal now. You know it beats.
784, fully labor, 100%. Look, Browne Feast, Kingston. Labor people. Look, Browne Feast, Kingston. Show them the 5 in a row. All you know how it go. Show them the 5 in a row. All you know how it go. 5 star, 5 star. You don't know who we are. We are fully labor. Stand strong with the comrade. 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 Company election day. We voting strong with the comrade. 784, fully labor, 100%. Look, Browne Feast, Kingston. Labor people. Look, Browne Feast, show them the 5 in a row. All you know how it go. Show them the 5 in a row. All you know how it go. 5 star, 5 star. You don't know who we are. We are fully labor. Stand strong with the comrade. 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 Company election day. We voting strong with the comrade. We go to the comrades and we strong with the comrade. We go to the comrades and we strong with the comrade. Kingston with the comrades. All Vinci and Grenadines. Don't tell me that you don't hear that. Don't tell me that you don't hear that. All the NDP in the era say they want to come vote for Labour. Don't tell me that you don't hear that. Don't tell me that you don't hear that. Friday just the same like Eustace. He don't have no idea either. That he's Kingston. That is our own. We ain't taking no bramble. We ain't putting that allocation. We voting. Look, bro, when election come around, we don't want to hear about comments of no liquor in the town. We stand strong with the comrade. 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 Paul Vinci and Grenadines. We voting strong with the comrade. We strong with the comrade. We strong with the comrade. 784 say comrade and we strong with the comrade. Vinci we say comrade. Paul Vinci and Grenadines. Comrade bringing it home. Camelo bringing it home. Carlos bringing it home. Otis King bringing it home. Rooster bringing it home. Luke Browne bringing it home. Lee Wonder Winwood Kingston coming home. Labour people, come out in a we red. Come out in a we red. Just see what up there. Labour people, come out in a we red. Just to show them that the comrades are some hard man for them. We stand strong with the comrades. 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 Company election day. We voting strong with the comrades. We work with the comrades and we strong with the comrades. We work with the comrades and we strong with the comrades. Kingston with the comrades. Paul Vinci and Grenadines. Who going to win this election? Don't ask me them kind of question. People taking off yellow shirt. I see them putting on the red one. Who going to win this election? Don't ask me them kind of question. People taking off yellow shirt. I see them putting on the red one. NDP can't take the legs, cannot take the defeat. So they always telling lies, spreading rumors over the streets. But Labour now move, and we now go nowhere. We go prove it on election day. We stand strong with the comrades. Stand strong with the comrades. We got stuff on stage here too. From right here in this community. Star family.
Star family.
Star family.
Star family.
Tell me, which plan you hear the NDP have for St. Vincent?
None of them.
Which one of them have plan?
Selling passports.
Which plan Friday have?
Selling passports.
So that's what we do, what?
That's why we don't want none of them.
Yeah. 784, fully labor, 100%. Look, Browne Feast, Kingston. Labor people. Look, Browne Feast, show them the 5 in a row. All you know how it go. Show them the 5 in a row. All you know how it go. 5 star, 5 star. You don't know who we are. We are fully labor. Stand strong with the comrade. 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 Company election day. We voting strong with the comrade. We vote with the comrades and we strong with the comrade. We vote with the comrades and we strong with the comrade. Kingston with the comrades. Paul Vinci and Grenadines. Don't tell me that you don't hear that. Don't tell me that you don't hear that. All the NDP in the era say they want to come vote for Labour. Don't tell me that you don't hear that. Don't tell me that you don't hear that. Friday just the same like Eustace. He don't have no idea either. That he's Kingston. That is our own. We ain't taking no bramble. We ain't putting that allocation. We voting. Look, bro, when election come around, we don't want to hear about comments of no liquor in the town. We stand strong with the comrade. Stand strong with the comrade. Stand strong with the comrade. Stand strong with the election day, we voting strong. We work with the comrades and we strong with the comrades. We work with the comrades and we strong with the comrades. Strong with the comrades. Vinci and Grenadiers. Who going to win this election? Don't ask me them kind of question. People taking off yellow shirt, I see them putting on the red one. Who going to win this election? Don't ask me them kind of question. People taking off yellow shirt, I see them putting on the red one. NDP can't take the legs, cannot take the defeat. So they always telling lies, spreading rumors over the streets. But Labour now move, and we now go nowhere. We go prove it on election day. We stand strong with the comrades. Stand strong with the comrades, stand strong with the comrades. Stand strong with the comrades, stand strong with the comrades. Stand strong with the comrades. Come on election day, we voting strong with the comrades.
Those up, we touch the stage here in Nassesha Hill. And even the children are fully labor. Even the children know that the only thing they want to do is sell passport. You believe that? Everybody know them. Well done, those up. Give a round of applause for those up. We have so much momentum in East Kingston right now. Last night, we had a massive bingo down by the constituency office. There were many winners. And guess what? All of us going to be in winners row next week, Thursday. And that bingo day, I know it hot up plenty of them head. It had them running around like headless chicken today. But that is exactly what they are, headless chicken. So we have to stand strong. We have upcoming events this week. Tomorrow, God's willing, all roads are going to lead to the E.T. Joshua Tarmac in Arnersville. We are going to have our gospel concert there tomorrow. So come out from wherever you are to the Tarmac at Arnersville. We were originally going to have it at Layu, but we have changed the venue in light of the weather. And to tell you the truth, I don't mind the change, and it's right home. It's right home. They bring it right home. The Lord does walk in mysterious ways. East Kingston. And here now, the NDP wanted to have a youth rally, they say, at Grammar School playing field. They really bold. They want to go back grammar school after we just fill up grammar school playing field just down there. But they make an excuse and say, well, the weather. So they move it from grammar school. And guess where they want to have it now? They want to have it now on the 2nd. I think the 2nd is what, Monday? They want to have it at the 2nd in Heritage Square. You could believe that? They know they can't full no playing field. So they want to come and have the meeting in a little cubby hole so it look as if they have some kind of numbers. I mean, we don't see through them strategy and tactic the long time. But wherever the labor train is going, we have a massive turnout. And tomorrow, we are going to continue, as Skinny Fabula said, to roll with labor. We're rolling down to Arnersville, and you'll hear more about the activities for the rest of the week. But the most important thing you have etched in your mind right now is what we're going to do on November 5th. November 5th, which is Thursday, is a few days away. This is the last Saturday before November 5th. Just now, we're going to be saying, what's the time now? 11 o'clock. In 1 hour time, we are going to be able to say that elections is this week. We're waiting 5 years, and soon we're going to be able to say that election is this week. Soon we're going to be able to say that our victory is going to come this week. We've been waiting for a long time, and as long as we finish strong, this is going to be ours. Let us finish strong. Not because we see that we're in a good position in the race, mean we must ease up. Press hard to the finish line. Let us win this thing together, and then let us have a massive celebration. It's going to be a celebration like nothing you have seen before, and a celebration right here in East Kingston. Comrades, you have been good, you have been faithful and true and loyal. You came out in the cold breeze, Some of you came with your sweaters, but you were here until the end. We love you and we appreciate that. Until we meet again tomorrow, God's willing, and we are on the campaign trail every day until Thursday. Get home safely. This was a great meeting tonight. Look out for the next activities. Thank you. God bless you.
Five straight, burn them with red. Five straight, bury the dead. Them think we weary, we just a come. Five straight, we only just a come. I know a lot of them think it easy to run a country, to run this Fiji. So they run them out and talk very loosely, but them not fooling anybody. To run a country, you must have vision. A team with clear focus on a mission. Leadership with courage and honesty, and love for people like you help me. Hey! Hot up the head, burn them with red. 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 We fit and ready, very much alive. Go tell everybody, Labour will provide. We fit and ready, and feeling the vibe. Come on everybody, Labour going for five. Five straight, burn them with red. Five straight, bury the dead. Them think we weary, we just a come. Five straight, we only just a come. Five straight, five straight. We standing resolute with you, LP. We cannot gamble with our country. Our children future shining so brightly. Cause education is priority. The NDP is really in a mess. They have no plans, no program, no progress. Ask anybody about the NDP, they will tell you them too damn lazy. Hey! Hot up the head, burn them with red. 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 We fit and ready, very much alive. Go tell everybody, Labour will provide. We fit and ready, and feeling the vibe. Come on everybody, Labour going for five. Five straight, burn them with red. Five straight, bury the dead. Them think we weary, we just a come. Five straight, we only just a come.
Tell them Labour, I only with Labour. It's the Labour. We only with Labour. It's the Labour. I only with Labour. It's the Labour. Whoa, you're not be asking for the Labour man. I only with Labour. I voted for Labour. You're not be asking for the Labour man. I only with Labour. I voted for Labour. Boom, they know I'm red. They know I'm brown. And you can see me jumping high up in the crowd. So tell a friend and shout it loud. I supporting Comrade. It's Labour we are vote. Tell them Labour. I only with Labour. It's the Labour. We only with Labour. It's the Labour.
I voted Labour.
It's the Labour. You're not be asking for the Labour man. I only with Labour. I voting for Labour. You're not be asking for the Labour man. I only with Labour. I voted for Labour. Push my head out my window and show them my five finger. I hope all you remember. Just show them your five finger. Comrade is the best leader. Just show them your five finger. On the 5th of November. Just show them your five finger. Ready, ready. labor. I roll with labor. It's the labor. We roll with labor. It's the labor. I roll with labor. It's the labor. Boy, you're not fair. If I was a labor man, I roll with labor. I fought in for labor. You're not fair. If I was a labor man, I roll with labor. I fought in for labor. Boom. You know I'm red. You know I'm proud. And you can see me jumping up in the crowd. So tell a friend and shout it loud. I supporting comrade. It's labor we are for. Tell them labor. I roll with labor. It's the labor. We roll with labor. It's the labor. I roll with labor. It's the labor. Whoa. You're not be asked if I was a labor man. I roll with labor. I fought in for labor. You're not be asked if I was a labor man. I roll with labor. I fought in for labor.
The opposition that you're calling is unavailable right now.
Alright, after 4 is 5, show me 5 fingers. After 4 is 5, show me